In this video, we're going to talk about the basic blueprint of moving through every single word in a file. It's going to be based off of the blueprint of moving through every line in a file. However, we're going to add some stuff from what we have talked about previously in the class about moving through every single word in a string. All right, so we want to move through every single word in a file. But in order to move through every single word, technically we also have to move through every single line in our file too. And so therefore, let's start listing out our steps in English about what we actually want to do. So similar to what we had done before with moving through every line, the first thing we want to do is we want to open our file. And then once I've opened my file, now I want to move through every single line in that file. So I want to read all lines. Oops, I can't spell. All right. And then once we're done looking at all the lines, then we want to close it, right? So all of that is still the same. So let's say close file. But now, when we're reading through all of the lines, what we want to then do is move through every single word. So given a certain line, move through every word inside of there. So we're going to do a 2A, or we're going to say 2A. It's going to move through all words. All right, so let's see what this would actually look like in code. So first thing, we have to open the file. Nothing's changed there. So we'll still say fh is equal to fopen. And let's say I have a variable called file that has my file name. I'll also call a variable file name. Cool. Awesome, so I have it open with reading permissions. And then now I still want to do that basic blueprint of moving through every single line. And so we had talked about before where first you have to get your first line. In this case here, I'm going to use fgetl. Of course, depending on the problem, it might change if you want to use fgetl or fgets. So fh. And then we have while is char of our line. Oops, not lime. This is lime green, but line. Oh man, I'm just messing things up everywhere. So fh there, line. All right. And so now when we're inside of this loop here, remember we can do stuff to our words. And so therefore we're going to do stuff to our words and then we're going to get out the next line. So we're going to say line is equal to f get l file handle. Cool. And then now the last thing is we want to close it. So f close fh. Awesome. So once again, this is just the basic blueprint for moving through every single line in our file. But then now we want to move through every single word as well. And so inside of our while loop of moving through every single line, we need to also move through every single word. We had talked about previously before about how we can use stirtoq in order to separate a word or separate a line into individual words. And we had talked about before how you can have stirtoq in a loop that allows you to iteratively move through words. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have a nested loop inside of this while loop that then is moving through each of our words. And so we know with stirtoq, we want to keep on stirtoqing as long as our first output isn't empty. So therefore, we are going to then, do I want to draw this in a different color? Sure, why not? So let's say while not is empty word, okay? And so first we have to initialize this word. And so the first thing we're going to do is get out our first word in our string. And we'll do this by calling stirtoq. So we'll say word and our rest will be a stirtoq. And what we'll be stirtoqing here is our line, okay, in order to get back that first word. Now we're going to go inside of that loop, and then inside of here, we can now do stuff to our words, okay? And so let's say do stuff to words. And after you've done that stuff, then you want to get the next word out. So therefore, we're going to say word rest is the stirtoq. But now this time, we're not going to stirtoq our line. We're going to stirtoq our rest, because this will allow us to move on to the next word inside of our string. And we've seen this before in previous things in the class where we're moving through every single word in a string. But now we're just piecing it together with the concept of moving through every line in a file. And that's it. So this is the basic blueprint for moving through every single word in a file. And we'll do examples in subsequent videos that kind of show you how you can utilize this blueprint to your advantage.